When a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or the spiritual master. But even if there is a need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, one cannot ask that favor without satisfying him fully. Swami Manu wanted to disclose his mind regarding the function he wanted to execute due to affection for his daughter. So Swami Manu is seeking the attention of Kardama Muni to consider his prayer with regard to something that is disturbing his mind or troubled by the affection for my daughter. Swami Manu was concerned about getting his daughter married, and obviously he had in his mind Kardama Muni. So he is saying here, O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self. This is how one addresses the spiritual master, even if he has to be addressed with respect to any request. See the humility. He's not just going and asking something. He is respecting him so much. He says, graciously be pleased. I'm not saying that I qualify that you be pleased with me. Graciously be pleased. Please be graceful. If someone asks somebody, please be pleased, I want you to be pleased with me. When is somebody pleased? When there is an exchange. The Guru is pleased with the disciple when he receives service from the disciple. When he receives that, he is pleased with the disciple. But the disciple is thinking, just because I did service, even if he is pleased, it is because of his grace and not because of my contribution. Even if I do service, he need not be pleased. So he says, graciously be pleased. This is the way Swami Manu is addressing the Kardama Muni as a spiritual master would address, as a disciple will address a spiritual master. So everywhere in the relationship between Guru and disciple, this is a very key point, that it is not a relationship of, earning mercy or earning something by doing service to the spiritual master, you earn something. That is not the relationship. That is not the mood also. I'll serve my spiritual master. It is his free will to be pleased or not be pleased with me. It is his own grace upon me if he is pleased. That attitude is there because the disciple doesn't think that he has the quality, humility to do pure devotional service to the Lord. The spiritual master is pleased with pure devotional service because the spiritual master is situated in a platform of absolute purity in his relationship with Krishna. So whatever service the living entity is offering to the spiritual master, naturally the spiritual master doesn't want any service. He offers it to Krishna. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bhritya. Only Krishna is Ishvara, all our others are servants. So a pure devotee of the Lord is offering pure devotional service. So when the disciple is offering service to spiritual master for Krishna, to please him, the disciple knows that whatever I am offering is not worthy of going to Krishna. It is only by his grace it is reaching Krishna. The disciple never thinks that I can serve the spiritual master directly. I can serve Krishna directly. I can serve my spiritual master directly, but I cannot serve Krishna directly. I have no qualification to serve Krishna directly. Krishna is surrounded and served by pure devotees of the Lord. So therefore, if at all my service has to reach Krishna, it is reaching Krishna because of the spiritual master's grace upon us. Whatever is lacking, whatever is lacking from the disciple, whatever the disciple offers to Krishna, devotion service, whatever is lacking, the spiritual master compensates it and then offers it to the Lord. This is his kindness. Suppose a quantity of, let's say 100 is required. Just to give an example, 100 units of something is required. Say 100 units of humility is required for a service to go to Krishna. And we are offering service to spiritual master. We may have 1 or we may have -1 or -2 or whatever. We offer that service to the spiritual master. The spiritual master, whether it is -1 or -100, he will make it +100 and offer it to Krishna. Because he sees something is there. So much is the transparent via media function of the spiritual master. So merciful he is. And if we are making advancement in Krishna consciousness, it's because of the mercy of the spiritual master. If we are getting attached to Krishna, it's because of the mercy of the spiritual master. If we are getting purified, it is due to the mercy of the spiritual master. That mercy, that is what graciously. The Lord is the spiritual master, please graciously be pleased with me. You cannot say be pleased with me. Graciously be pleased with me. So sensitive. Because he recognizes that in terms of his absolute goal of going back to Krishna, he is most unqualified. So in that mood, he is praying, Swayambhuva Manu is praying to That's this verse. I thought a lot of questions were there the other day on the previous purport. I'll just read that once again. Previous translation. I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God, and I have listened with open ears to your pure words. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has given directions in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on how to accept a bona fide spiritual master and how to deal with him. First, the desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master, and then he must very eagerly receive instructions from him and execute them. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide spiritual master, a saintly person, always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him. Because everyone is under the delusion of Maya and is forgetful of his prime duty, Krishna consciousness. Saintly person is always desires that everyone becomes a saintly person. It is the function of a saintly person to invoke Krishna consciousness in every forgetful man. Manu said that he was advised and instructed by Kardama Muni. He was very much favored. He considered himself lucky to receive the message by oral reception. It is especially mentioned here that one should be very inquisitive to hear with open ears from the authorized source of a bona fide spiritual master. How is one to receive? One should receive the transcendental message by oral reception. The word karna randrahe means through the holes of the ears. The favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. This does not mean, however, that the spiritual master gives a particular type of mantra through the ears in exchange for some dollars. And if the man meditates on that, he achieves perfection and becomes God within 6 months. Such reception through the ears is bogus. The real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness, and he instructs him in that way. He instructs him through the ear, not privately but publicly. You are fit for such and such a work in Krishna consciousness, you can act in this way. One person is advised to work in Krishna consciousness by working in the deity's room, another is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by performing editorial work, another is advised to do preaching work, another is advised to carry out Krishna consciousness in the cooking department. There are different departments of activities in Krishna consciousness, and the spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a particular man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act he becomes perfect. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life simply by offering service according to his ability, just as Arjuna served Krishna by his ability in the military art. Arjuna offered his service fully as a military man and he became perfect. Similarly, an artist can attain perfection simply by performing artistic work under the direction of the spiritual master. If one is a literary man, he can write articles and poetry for service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. One has to receive the message of the spiritual master regarding how to act in one's capacity, for the spiritual master is expert in giving such instructions. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple, makes the entire process perfect. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his explanation of his verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that one who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success must take the instructions from the spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute the particular instruction and should consider that his life and soul. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the years and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. So we were discussing last time. Anybody has any question of this? Yes.
Thank you so much, Madhu Pandit Prabhu. It's a little commentary and then a question. But I remember in your class, previous class, you mentioned something very vital, which was how during the time of the physical presence in the planet of His Divine Grace, everybody knew that we could not be having the natural access, thousands of us there. And we were respecting the chain of authority in a natural way. Nobody was questioning at all. And everyone felt the direct service toward Srila Prabhupada. And then the element was such conviction that this chain ended in Srila Prabhupada, that every one of us very willingly renounced this need that came as a little child, needs to be with the father personally. So that was his mercy through his mission. And one other element that was striking in my remembrance when you mentioned these things was that we knew that taking time of his service was so valuable. He already asked us to leave him out of the management because he needed to translate these books. So every one of us had this also aspiration to do something. But there was one element that solved, or at least for several of us, that impediment, let's call it, or distance. It was that we could write Srila Prabhupada any moment. But we knew also that there were hundreds of, letters every day. In my own and some other brothers, we continue writing but never deliver it. These letters were accumulated and were checked by our own in due course of time. Because we were considered about his time for the mission, and we knew that if we have faith, if Krishna is in the heart, and although the Guru is not Krishna, but Paramatma in his heart and our heart makes a link with him. And then in due course of time, we could see the letters being answered through the process of devotional service. And it's a very good practice. Even I regret I cannot do it now, but I do it in another way. But it's very scientific and practical. Not having envious or jealousy for those who were physically connected. In due course of time, many of them, so-called, we wish they best in Krishna consciousness if they maintain, but most of them became too familiar. So this process is so powerful, having the right faith and in the process itself, that the presence of Srila Prabhupada is not only right now in front of me and you, is also there or in the altar and everywhere. Not because, again, he is God, but because it is described in the Vedanta Sutra, a commentary by Baladeva Vidyabhushan, the Govindavasya, that, quoting the Vedas, the spiritual master, the liberated soul, the intimate associate of the Lord, can expand unlimitedly. The difference with the Lord is that he cannot create any universe or anything. But that power is with the spiritual master. We need to have that faith only. But also by the blessings of his arrangement, in the management he made, nobody is bereft of the association of Srila Prabhupada through his chain of servitors. I wanted to make this commentary, and the question is simple. If you can elaborate on how to develop this sort of faith, because sometimes we have seen a leader not being a leader, in due course of time. By historical reference, I referring to, we have.
Last time I talked about how two things. One was what Prabhupada is explaining here in this purport, how a disciple gets his engagement from the spiritual master because the spiritual master knows the nature of the particular disciple and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness, and he instructs him in that way. This process, obviously, at least grossly, did not happen even during Srila Prabhupada's preaching time in this planet. It did not happen. Grossly, it did not happen. Just like today also, that is not grossly happening. We are all disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is not directly telling us, this is your quality, now this is a service you should do. He is not. Neither he did that during his time, nor now. Yet Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport that this is a process. What does that mean? Some other way this is happening. Some other way this is happening. In others, which is the way it is happening, it is not very difficult to understand. Srila Prabhupada set up an institution, a mechanism of association of sadhus, devotees, who are all his disciples, who are all his followers, and within that he established a management structure, a way of receiving service, a way of associating, and way of progress in Krishna consciousness, which he amply demonstrated during his presence on this planet by writing so many letters, do like this, do like that, this, that, there's so many things, including, why you're writing to me, all these questions you should ask your GBC. That also he has asked. Including sometimes he will say, why this, don't ask silly questions. That also he has asked. So, all kinds of answers he has given, very common, very practical way he has given those. So we are guided by the mechanism set up by him. Now, Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee, is an empowered representative of the Lord. If he has set up a system, that system, if it is properly followed, it will fulfill this function, 100%. Otherwise, how Lord Chaitanya's mercy will spread to thousands and thousands of people? Because you can find out that to have a pure devotee as a spiritual master itself is so rare. We have seen that. So many people try to become sit in the chain of disciplic succession, trying to replace Prabhupada. And what happened? So it is very clear that Srila Prabhupada is going to be the spiritual master for millions of living entities. How will Prabhupada do this function for millions of living entities? He can do it, he will do it, he is doing it. Even now he is doing it. This faith is required. Because this process that the spiritual, just like Prabhupada said, my spiritual master is, he is always with me. That is understanding. So in the same way, one should have faith that Prabhupada is always with me. Don't doubt that. He is always with every disciple. He is always with every disciple to guide, assist the devotee, to engage him in devotional service. That is the position of an acharya. How can Srila Prabhupada do that for millions? Yes, he is all pervading. Just like Krishna is all pervading for his service, Prabhupada is all pervading. Therefore, he is always with the disciple. One should have faith in this principle that such principles are working among the devotee community. That is why progress is happening. So instead of Prabhupada directly telling, this is your nature, this is the service you have to do, through the authority system it is happening. So the authority system that is there, which is properly situated, is non-different from Srila Prabhupada directly giving. At the same time, you cannot also, this also explained last time, simultaneously one and different. Prabhupada directly giving, and through institution it is when he gave directly to few disciples. Definitely that is very fortunate. There is a small difference of directly and when there is directly given, then there is no question of any abuse. When it is through the system, it is not 100% one in the sense it could be one. It could be same as Prabhupada himself is directly telling you. It could be. When Prabhupada is directly telling somebody, it's only that. But when through the institution mechanism it is coming, it is meant to be same. But if there is a abuse of the system, then there is a problem. But if you have that, for that I explained last time, that one should have faith in the person, in the process. If he has a faith in the process, it does not matter what is the purity or what is the level of, what is the Krishna conscious level of the person from whom you are receiving. As long as he is in that chain of system. Whatever it is, one should simply execute the instructions. One should not materially calculate all these things. We are practicing bhakti. One should not think that, okay, now, see, I have been asked to go to, I've been asked to go to somewhere, to go to Vrindavan by, my authority told me go by Indian Airlines or Air India flight. Then I went and checked, I found out it was, okay, I went and came back also. I did my job. Afterwards I found out that Indigo was, 100 rupees cheaper. How my authority gave me this instruction? We lost 100 rupees for Krishna. All these material calculation you should not see. It will happen. Everybody is, there is perfect, materially perfectness is different. The spirit of perfectness is what we are practicing here. So many things we are doing devotion service in this material, Don't get into that material perfection. The way we run this temple 10 years back was different. Today, much improved materially. 10 years back, how we run this temple, if you see, you will see, really, it was so silly. You are doing this mistake. Now we are done. 10 more years from now, you will see it will be materially much more perfect. So some devotees get into this material rightness and wrongness. That is not what we are practicing here. Live in the present. Whatever maturity you have in good spirit, best of your ability, you serve the Lord. And then go on. So, that is, that spirit of receiving the service and executing the service as an instruction from the spiritual master. Why in Prabhupada's purport in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says. Now Prabhupada goes one level up. He says, you may say that Krishna was before Arjuna, so he could give him instruction directly. How is it that I am, but we don't have Krishna before us to follow his instruction. So Prabhupada says, no. If one simply takes his assigned duty as given by Krishna and execute it, it is the same as Arjuna, same way as Arjuna received instruction from Krishna. So it's a very mystical process. You cannot go by this gross bodily arrangement and feel completely confused. We are in a spiritual life. It's a spiritual process. Prabhupada is not physically limited. For the sake of being worshipped, he is in a deity form. So that we can offer dress, we can offer flowers, we can offer arati, we can pray grossly obeisances. Therefore he is there. Doesn't mean he is only there. He is everywhere for the disciple. He is always with him to help the disciple. And he works through, his help comes through so many medium it comes through. The principle of Guru is coming from all directions. We learn something from karmis also. Some karmis says something that principle, Gurutva. You have faith in your spiritual master, that Gurutva, you can pick up from anywhere. The Lord, Paramatma is everywhere and he teaches the disciple from every source he will decide. From your God brothers you will learn. From a new bhakta you will learn sometimes. From a karmi whom you are going and preaching Krishna consciousness, suddenly you will see that he will give the answer for something that you had a big question about. So from different directions, Krishna is speaking to us. The principle of Guru is continuously operating on a sincere disciple who wants to go to the absolute truth. It is continuously working. No sincere disciple in this path is neglected. That you should understand. Don't think I am neglected. No, you are not neglected. You are never transcendentally neglected. Constantly spiritual master is backing us. through his institution directly, through his institutions indirectly, personally directly, through Paramatma directly, through his books directly, on all different manners in which we are amply protected and directed continuously to make advancement in spiritual life. So if one needs to have that faith and the confidence that I am not neglected, mystically this process is working and I will progress in spiritual life if I have faith in the faith to follow Srila Prabhupada. And I also last time talked about this, going very sharply, what exactly I should do now. Don't get into that paralysis, mental paralysis. In fact, even normally speaking also, let us say you go to a shop, electronic shop. You want to buy one phone. You go to a big showroom. You will see about 100 models. Isn't that? 100 possibilities are there. As a jiva, your ability to exercise your free will is also limited. In other words, your free will can get paralyzed. Is it not? If you buy one, you will think, oh, okay, you bought one. Oh, then you will say, oh, I should have bought that one. Or you choose that one, then you should have, oh, I should have bought that one. That was there. In other words, the more the choices we have, the more our free will get frozen. Isn't it? We are tiny living entities. We have limited free will. We are guided by the, processes. If you go into analyzing too much, what I should do today, what I should do now, what I should do tomorrow, every tiny detail I should know, somebody should tell me, then only I am 100% surrendered to Krishna. Then I know that whatever I am doing is what Krishna is saying, Krishna wants me to do. If Krishna is going to tell you every moment what you should do, raise your right hand, left hand, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It doesn't work like that. That's why I call that as analysis paralysis. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just to add on to what you already said, even today in the opposite camp, the gurus are separate and the management is separate. They don't get into the management and all those things is what I heard. So even there also they are not getting directly from their own gurus any instruction to do service or whatever.
Correct. See, what is happening is, anybody who tries to short circuit this process given by Prabhupada, invariably the system will eject. That is what is happening. Because Prabhupada and Krishna is so intelligent that you just cannot, for some time you may play, but you will see that there is a problem in institution. Immediately GBC will meet together and they will say, this is a problem. I think in the temple hall, Guru Pujas is a problem on resolution. No Guru Pujas in the temple. Or they will say, okay, here there is a problem. That the temple president is telling this and the Guru comes in, visit the temple and the temple president says, this devotee is not doing Pujari service. That Pujari will say, Prabhu, I will ask my Guru. This is happening in other temples. I will ask my Guru. Whatever my Guru says, I will do. And the Guru, it depends. The Guru, if he is a very important disciple, he gave a lot of Guru Dakshina and things like that. Then he is thinking, how I can displease him? He wants a change of service, so he will call temple president. He will say, please give him change of service. Then he will say, no Maharaj, how can I do? I have no other pujaris. No, you do it. Or he is little hesitant. When he is little hesitant, the disciple will go outside and say, to all his god brothers, he will say, see, temple president does not respect our Guru. Then there is whole politics there. All of them gang up against the temple president. So, GBC discussed all these things. Yes, it is a fact. Let us make a resolution. The resolution is, Gurus have no authority to instruct their disciples regarding their service. There is a resolution. Eject. Out of the system, eject. Either the institution system should be there or Guru system should be there. When Prabhupada was there, both were one. Guru system and institution was one. So that, like this kind of resolution, they end up in making all these things. So even, see, they are unwillingly following the Ritvik system. The other ISKCON is unwillingly following the Ritvik system. Forced to follow the Ritvik system. If you ask someone of their gurus, you ask them, what, Madhu Pandit, I am actually a Ritvik only, the guru says. Then somebody else will say, no, why don't you just come together, Actually, practically, we are, everything is a Ritvik system. Hey, when we are happily following, why we should come and, follow in a hidden manner Ritvik system? Prabhupada has very blessed us and we are very fortunate. We have a wonderful, open, freely following Prabhupada Acharya system. In fact, we shouldn't even call this system Ritvik system, because they are the one who gave that name. This is not the Ritvik system. Just like Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Prabhupada Acharya system it is. Anytime in future somebody says, you're following Ritvik system. No, we are following Prabhupada Acharya system. We are from the Acharya Sampradaya. Prabhupada Acharya system. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.